is PM timing নাকি আমরা বলবো?
সো টাইম করলে ভালো হয়। সো 1 and 6 and 7 এ একটা সিগন্যাল দিতে পারলে ভালো হয়।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে ভাই, আমরা দিয়ে দেবো, আমি এখানে 1 6 or 7 আমি মেসেজে দিয়ে দেবো। হ্যাঁ
ওকে।
আচ্ছা।
So starting in 3, 2, 1. Understand speaker what these feminists actually doing. They are telling us that women are unique. So the one who is choosing to be housewife, the one who is choosing to wear hijab herself is empowering, and he can be an icon for the feminist. Understand why that's problematic. Understand why no choice is unique. Why every choice is socially constructed. Understand when you were young, your father gave you a revolver, a toy revolver to play with. At the same time, he gave your sister a toy kitchen set to play with. So what did that happen actually? Why did that happen actually? Understand, because the society had that kind of mindset. So when a child is being groomed with that mindset, when the child is being groomed with that society, understand that choices will be socially constructed. So by default, by genetically, these women will be thinking that her duty is classified, her duty is to take care of the children, her duty is to take care of his houses, and her duty is to wear hijab and whatnot. So understand, when someone is saying that yes, I am feminist, I am educated, I am qualified enough, and even then I am choosing to remain at house and take care of my children. Understand why that's problematic? Because that choice is socially injected from her childhood, and that's not actually empowering. Understand why that women are unique rhetoric is actually problematic for feminist movement itself. Understand, for these feminists are actually telling us that women are unique. So if as a woman I am trying to get out of my houses, being forced, if I am being forced to wear off my hijab, that's actually forcing me to be equal to man, and being equal to man is not my target. My target is to being target is to being independent, and as a woman I want to be unique. Understand why that's problematic. Understand, for thousands of years these women have been dominated. For thousands of years women, the duty and the responsibility of womenkind has been defined. So when you are trying to empower women, when you are trying to like empower women, when trying to make them families, and when you are trying to take these people out of their curtains and actually include them in the society, you have to redefine their roles. Redefine their roles as equal to men. You don't and if you have to force it for that, you have to force them. So the feminist movements, those feminists who are telling us that yes, as we don't need to be equal to men, we are fine with what we have and that's my choice, that's problematic because that's harming the feminist movement itself. Understand why we don't ask men to do so, because you will never find some man to say this word that yes, as a man I am actually qualified enough, I can do a very good job, but I want to sit at my house and take care of my children, right? Have you ever heard of this? That's ridiculous, right? That even sounds ridiculous because you have not been accustomed to this situation, you have not been said. So no man has ever been said that yes, as a man we can choose this, because if you choose this, suddenly everyone will go mad at you and they will actually mock at you. So why men don't say this, and why many of the women are actually saying this? That's because the society has injected those ideas into women and into men, and that's because of these ideas, these injections, that idea has been classified. So we have to break that glass ceiling. We have to break that stereotype, and to do that, we have to force. Even if we need to force women to get out of the houses to get included in the jobs and with incentives and whatnot, we have to do that. Understand that choice is not his unique choice. That choice is forced by the society itself. Yes, POI. No POI. Okay. So secondly, understand the situation of those women actually, why that actually very problematic. Those women
কেওয়াই
who
ছিল।
came from the
হ্যাঁ, so when you talk about being independent is the target, please tell us how you hope to achieve that independence in the.
understand that to make successful the feminist movement, we have to redefine every choices. Understand, we have to make them powerful. So the girl who has read up to university, he has to come up from houses, and he has to use those intellects, he has to use those qualifications into jobs. Understand? So when a woman is saying that yes, I am choosing being housewife as my own choice, we have to force him into using his intellect. We have to force him to using his excellence. Understand that's problematic because that choice is forced. That choice is made by the society. That choice is not made by herself. Though she's thinking that he has made the choice, that choice is actually not made by herself. That choice has been installed in her for so long that he cannot think out of the box right now. So yes, as feminists, we have to redefine that role, and we cannot actually support her that decision. Understand? And next, let's actually think about that think about the condition of those women. They actually came from a bubble. They actually came from a bubble who are actually conservative. Understand why those women think like this? Why those women actually think that being feminist I can wear hijab? Why those women actually think that being feminist I can be housewife? Because they have come from a society which actually thinks that this is the work of the women. This is the work of the women to take care of children. This is not the work of the women to go out of their houses. Yes, they are thinking themselves as feminists, but they're actually not. So when as feminists you are actually catering to them, you are actually forcing other women, you actually being a problem for those who are actually struggling to get out of the houses. Understand? When someone says that yes, as a feminist I can be a feminist at the same time, I can be powerful at the same time, and I am being in the house, and being as a housewife, wearing hijab makes myself empowered. Understand that wearing hijab makes myself empowered, being a housewife makes myself empowered is a rhetoric that's being harmful for many women who lives at the bottom of the line and who are actually trying to get out of the houses. Because when as feminist movement you are not actually, you have to be aligned with a bottom line, because there are feminists of many, there are many layers that things going to trickle down, right? When as a feminist you say being a feminist I can be a housewife and I can choose not to use my intellects. Understand? That actually forces many women in the bottom line not to get out of the houses, because those women who are actually thinking themselves as feminists and want to join the workforce, they're actually being alienated by your choices. Understand? So as a feminist you are role model for everyone, you are role model for them who are actually living in they are actually marginalized, and they are actually trying to make some difference, but they are not being able to do make that because of their being forced by the society, right? So that's actually so for that reason you should not be uh, classify those changes as empowerment, because you should get those ideas. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. Inviting leader of opposition. Here,
Give me some time, please.
sure.
All right, starting in three, two, one, go. When my mom stays in home and sacrifices her career, sacrifices her own life, and all the things that she could have done just as well as my father in a equal playing field, she is still putting in the effort every single freaking day without getting any recognition. And that's where the feminism comes in and acknowledges their sacrifice and their contribution to the society and this infrastructure so that we can rise up. And that is something that's very important in this debate, is to recognize the crucial role that these women, these marginalized communities and people play in general, and something that should not be stigmatized or put into stereotypes just because they have association with femininity and the exclusivity of this debate isn't about what feminism should do or shouldn't do. This debate is about gender equality and the empowerment of the vast number of women, and let me show you how that happens when feminism rallies behind these women rather than abandoning them. So let's be honest. People in general like to take care of themselves. I, as a man, love taking a shower. My sister, in general, likes to put on some lipstick because it makes her feel bolder. It makes her feel good about itself. It's about self love, not about being woman. So, before moving on to my further analysis, let me rebut some of the points which will help you clarify the things that they were, trying to prove. So, when they talk about putting a revolver in someone's hand or a toy for a woman in general, the matter of fact is study shows that you're just as likely to play with the toy that you're given. So there is no general differentiation between what we do. It's the social constructive that we're pushing, that these women do not deserve to play with toys that have association with masculinity. That's where the problem lies. It's okay to give them the choice what toys they will be playing with. It is okay to be woman. No, we're not trying to debate on the fact that being woman is unique, but what we do is recognize the contribution of these feminine traits in society. Then just because they come up with the argument that thousands of years they have maintained this responsibility and certain shift in characterization of what a housewife should do would bring a lot of harm. Let me rebut this debate by saying this argument by saying that for thousands of years, women have been oppressed as well. They've been burned, they've been put to stakes and been called witch. So this does not justify this event. And the matter of fact is, it's more important than ever to recognize these things, because we are giving the woman an equal playing field. Houses are falling apart, and the matter of fact is, these houses are solely reliant on housewives who are making these sacrifices to bring changes to the game and even recognize roles like nurses, which have association with femininity. Now there is an equal playing field, and now we do realize that more women are likely to be a nurse rather than a doctor in a factual manner. Is not because they're less potent, but women are more caring in general. It's a unique trait that significantly has contribution to that specific role that we tend to overlook and attach these aura of femininity and put it and portray it in a negative manner. Rather, we should be acknowledging the exclusivity they bring to the house. And when they talk about being in the house is some sort of a bad thing, you have to recognize a woman is just as likely to do good in the field of education as men. Study shows that more women are graduating or more women are being educated than men in the current status quo, which proves that women can do just as good as men in any playing field. Yet they choose to take care of their children, yet they choose to cook food for their husband, and yet they choose to be the leader of the household, not just a housewife, not just spreading your legs and cooking food or washing the clothes, but having a say in what your child does. Because recognize, when you don't give the proper recognition to these roles, a woman doesn't realize what she can do or what are the roles that she can play. She does have some rights, and it also gives you the tools to be more liberal, be more liberated, and break those shackles. Because when, as a feminist, you realize the rights that you have as a housewife, the rights you have as a nurse, or even the simple basic right to put on a hijab and put on the lipstick at the same time, something feminists like Linda Soso have been doing for years. What are the messages feminists like Oprah Winfrey and Ellen DeGeneres? We put on these things because we feel good about ourselves, and it's okay. It's nothing to be ashamed of. A man can do this as well. If my younger brother wants to be more like my sister and puts on some makeup, I'm not gonna say that, oh no, you're acting like gay AF or this stereotype that I'm gonna push on him. I'm gonna be more open to it because it exposes his more bold side of his character rather than pushing this stereotype that people tend to do in general. So, what was the core objective of this debate? It was to push this gender equality, and by portraying these ideas of feminine traits as petty, sensitive, or they have to be pretty, or they have to be under the leash of a man, rather than they can do whatever they want, and yet they choose to do this. People like Oprah Winfrey chose to start a family, take care of themselves, and start a trickle down effect by accepting who they were as in general, rather than pushing away these feminine traits and highlighting the exclusivity of these traits as well. And not only just redefining, what this also does is these traditional activities continuously help them realize what the rights that they have, and also explore their basic rights such as sexuality and everything else. For years and years, women have been abused and used as nothing but an object. But when a feminist comes into my door and tells my mother, no, you have certain rights in and outside the house, and even in your own freaking bed, that brings more good than harm in the long run. Something that's the burden of the lower opposition side, even the opening government side and the closing government side, to show what's the trade-off that they're willing to propose. Before moving on to the 6 minute, I would like to take a POI.
So understand, you are not telling your father to leave his career and to be in your houses. So when you are empowering those women, giving the women an empowering image, aren't you burdening the women who choose career to? Are you not burdening them with balance? Are you not burdening them with the power, with the
Thank you for your
responsibility to
question.
balance everything? Right?
Thank you. The matter of fact is, no one asked my mom to chase a career of being a housewife. She was just as educated as my dad. They were batchmates to begin with. And yet she decided to make the sacrifice. That is something that should be recognized. And even in your world, the idea of a man contributing to the household might be very offending, but we live in the world of 2018 where men and women are equal and there is no unique side to anything. This is not a competition. The idea is to work together and help the women who've been underprivileged, marginalized, and oppressed, and to help them be empowered and hear their voice. When they say it out loud, that is okay to be a housewife, and yet I'm willing to take charge of the house, and yet my opinion does matter, and yet my husband has to acknowledge my saying in the rights of the in the future of my kids. That is the world that we're willing to pursue because it not only helps them explore their rights, but it also helps them obtain equal rights in an uneven playing field where they weren't given the tools to begin with, and something that they have established, which is feminism works best when you help the woman do the things that they're doing in the first place rather than denying their basic rights to, doll up, put makeup on, or even be a simple housewife. And for all these reasons, we do take the debate by a margin. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for your speech, inviting Deputy Prime Minister.
Okay, I'll just like take 20 to 30.
Hello, শোনা যাচ্ছে?
Yes, yes, Ahmad bhai.
হ্যাঁ, হাসিফ, whenever you're ready. Hello, হাসিফ. হাসিফ, hello.
15 seconds. 15. Okay. Mm. আচ্ছা, so like POIs না নিলে পেনালাইজ করার সিস্টেমটা কি এই টুর্নামেন্টে আছে? কারণ হচ্ছে কি যে POIs না মানে
হ্যাঁ,
নেওয়াটা অনেক
আছে।
ইনকনভিনিয়েন্ট। আচ্ছা,
Bro, POI টা না মাইকে বললে একটু বেটার হয় কারণ it's very tough to look at the stopwatch and also at the chat bar, man.
না, yes, I know, I'm the speaker myself. So like I will ask a POI in like মানে 5 to 6 minutes এর মধ্যে চেয়ে নিব, so you don't need to ask me
Okay, man. All
when making a sound. আচ্ছা, generalize. Hello.
জি, জি।
Okay.
আচ্ছা,
But
শুরু
একদম
করে দিই ভাইয়া, শুরু করে দিই।
জি ভাইয়া, okay. Subscription double. As a speaker, we need to stop and we need to understand how societal norms work. From the very children age, woman child is showed that like motherhood is the most rewarding experience prevalent in the world. It is so rewarding that even if she has a dream of being an engineer, even if she has a dream of actually post graduating somewhere, it is so rewarding that she has to stop there. She can get married, take a child, and not worry about post. And it is so rewarding that it will compensate her sorrow for not being able to post graduate in the foreign country. We think that narrative in and of itself works actually for like years, all of her life, and she actually herself is sucked into the bubble where she believes that it is so rewarding that she would like to consent into it. We think we need the proper recognition for all of these struggles. But we tell you that all of these housewives are not properly recognized under yours of the house as well. Because the fact that this choice that they took wasn't a voluntary choice to begin with, wasn't an empowering choice to begin with, because they were sucked into those constructs, and this was not a voluntary choice to begin with. We tell those hardworking housewives that, look, you have been exploited by all of these societal constructs. We have used you as the battering rams for societal utility production, but it's your choice to actually embrace it and literally believe that it is so rewarding and actually remain as a housewife and assume that it is empowering enough, or you actually need to embrace the truth and go for that voluntary choice that even if you want to, even if you are used by the societal battering rams, it's your choice whether or not you you still go out and you still work and you still don't live in the bubble that motherhood in and of itself is so holy experience that I don't need to pursue my jobs or my dreams of jobs, right? We think this is the narrative that we promote. We actually tell them the truth. But second, ladies and gentlemen, why is it important that these sorts of narratives exist? Why is it important that these sorts of narratives don't exist? Firstly, because of the fact that the point in time you come up and actually promote these sorts of narratives, you literally undermine the generalization that happens. Firstly, because of the fact that it is factually false, because it is a societal battering ram, and they are being sucked into the narrative that because we need, as a society, need them to produce children because men don't, right? So second, best case of this narrative, why this generalization is still harmful? Because of the fact that nothing is universal. Every single thing is arbitrary. So for a white woman being brought up in New York, rich woman can still come up and literally say that I am a housewife, I feel empowered, because she doesn't have to worry for bringing the rice or bringing the food for the next day because she has already the money, right? But that narrative completely undermines the existence of all of those people who have to work, who have to earn money, but they're still literally told that they don't need to because motherhood in and of itself is rewarding, in and of itself is empowering. So they don't need to go. But second, ladies and gentlemen, why is this narrative not intersectional? You need to recognize that you guys are still promoting makeups to begin with. Those exact capitalist whitish propagandas, whitish stuff that they played into, that the evil told you that you need to recognize that only the fairest women get the most amount of money, and those little woman child get played into those evil narratives because she thinks that this being fair is the most important thing, being white is the most important thing. We think it's harmful as well. Firstly, because of the fact that Nicki Minaj can come up and tell the fact that she bought this amount of makeup and she feels empowered. This undermines the black women living in Africa who don't even have enough money to buy those makeups and tell them that they are not empowering enough. Their feminism isn't cool enough, and we think that's problematic, right? But secondly, why is it bad for working women as well? Because the fact, the point in time, let's say for an example, a woman from a rich institution of Bangladesh comes up and she gets a job in BAT. That is the point in time she recognizes herself as a feminist and a hijabi at the same time as well. That is the point in time the pop culture begins, because of the fact that she now promotes herself and says, I can wear a hijab and break glass ceilings as well. But the simple fact that this narrative triggers to those exact women living under poverty as well, and those exact anti-feminist people, such as, let's say for an example, an Islamic guy now comes up and tells her wife that, look, you don't work because you can't work. It is not because I don't let you, because the fact that you can still work wearing hijab, but you still don't want to. That is the reason why you can't work. Meaning, ladies and gentlemen, that is the point in time it actually becomes more oppressive to women who don't have the same amount of constraints that BAT women have. For example, she may go into BAT and still wear a hijab, but it's still impossible for like women working in the garments too and simultaneously wear the hijab at the same time, because under your side of the house this narrative gets triggered to those exact Islamist people, and they tell their wife you can only go to work if you can wear a hijab like that BAT women as well. We think that pop culture now trickles down to those exact working women and actually oppresses them more. We think this is oppressive as this is bad as well. But secondly, ladies and gentlemen, why is it so bad? Because the fact that now this working women who consented into going to work for garments, now she can't go to garments because her husband has the opportunity to eye wash and use those sorts of pop culture structures as a battering rams to stop them and create more barriers. But second, the extension of double jeopardy for those exact feminists. So those exact feminists who want to propagate themselves as feminists, they still wear a hijab, they still all of these homeworks, but the point in time they start feeling empowered by the feminism ideology. There's a point in time they actually get sucked into the bubble more, because the fact that they're still coming from a conservative sphere, because they still have an 80-year-old Islamist father or a father-in-law. They themselves put pressure on the exact feminists, and this feminist now, since she recognized herself as a hijabi feminist, she cannot leave hijab as well. But more importantly, she is being sucked into the familial pressure because of being feminist at the same time. So they think the point in time we don't need to recognize themselves as feminists. They can choose, they can have a greater choice, because now they can choose to be either be a hijabi or they can either choose to be whatever they want, rather than being pressurized by those pop culture that exists and make themselves more sucked into the bubble that they actually are. So we tell you, we propose.
Thank you first.
আচ্ছা, was I audible the whole time?
Yes, yes. আর audible না হলে আমি বলবো, অসুবিধা নেই। Inviting deputy leader of opposition.
Inviting the leader of opposition. I'm deputy leader.
Deputy leader of opposition.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, I just got a bit confused. Okay, before I start, I'd like to thank all the visitors here. You guys really are the hero today. So I'd just like to take some more.
Woo. What's up, organizers? Yes.
Of course, Falcon's doing amazing. Yeah. Okay, so let me get to my stopwatch. Here we go. Yeah, so we believe that opening government doesn't even stand a chance in this debate, because whatever they're proposing might make sense in the context, but is absolutely preposterous. So here's why. So they talked about women being empowered, right? So what is the objective of this debate? We have to understand the objective of this debate first. The objective is to ensure that the feminism is being able to empower the women all over the world, right? That is the objective that we are preaching. So when they are actually talking about women being independent and understand this: in order to be independent, you need to have a bargaining chip in your hand, right? And that exact bargaining chip is that you have to feel equal to man. And now you need to understand that being equal, it's mostly a state of mind. How you cannot really measure how one is equal to another. You cannot really assign job evaluation points, and you cannot really weigh them down against one another. You need to feel what you are doing actually contributes to your family and to your society, and feeling exactly that, you will know that you are actually equal to the man that is actually going out there and earning the household incomes, and you need to know that you are doing exactly something that is equal to him and you're contributing, and that is exactly how you will feel independent. That is the process. So when they're talking about women being independent and just criticizing the redefined roles and not actually clarifying, instead of actually putting those redefined roles, what we should be doing, should we be actually define those roles as it is, or should we actually completely deny and tell women to actually just leave off those roles and get out in the world? That is very much misleading, and that is not clarified in the debate at all. And we believe that that itself actually makes them lose them the debate. Okay, so when they talk about that being a mother is rewarding, and women believe that it is rewarding. They do not show what the harm in thinking that being a mother is rewarding. And if thinking that being a mother is rewarding, what women should do afterwards? If that is actually harmful, should women stop actually mothering child, or should women actually not think it as a reward? And what would the impacts be? They do not discuss that here. So we believe that being a mother is rewarding, even if they have absolutely shown they couldn't, but even if they show that being a mother is rewarding is harmful, it cannot be credited because there is no impact that has been shown. We believe that a woman, when she is mothering a child, it needs to be input that being a mother is rewarding, because she feel that she is contributing to the society just as much, and that 6 months leave from her employment is actually has been put to good use, and she is contributing in the society. We need to, and they also talked about that promoting makeups, and they talked about that makeups are actually a whitish propaganda, which is absolutely wrong. Makeup, it can never be a whitish propaganda. We all of us actually put makeup to make ourselves look better. Actresses put makeup to put themselves on the camera so that they are actually looking better. So when a woman has a pimple and she's putting a makeup, and there is no feminism, and the feminazis are actually telling him, don't put makeup, don't be traditionalizing yourself, she'll actually go out there with those pimples and she'll still feel bad. That is not what we want. We want that particular woman to feel comfortable in whatever she is doing. So if she is actually feeling weak with those pimples, she can hide them with makeups, and the idea is to make her feel comfortable in her own skin and make her actually go out in the world hiding those pimples if she wants that. That is exactly what feminism preaches, the independence. It does not necessarily mean feminism exactly preaches you have to cover these pimples. No, feminism preaches that if you want to cover those pimples, you can. So what is the defined role before the feministic movement came? That women actually put makeups on to praise the guys. Women actually do household work because they are told to. But now the feministic idea approaches that way, that if you want to put makeups on, you do it for yourself, for your own confidence. If you want to do your household work, this is a choice. You can get out there and you can do a job as well, and you can both be actually putting household work into the family too, and it both should be equally treated. And that's exactly what the feminism preaches. So feminism actually, these redefined roles give this woman the perfect opportunity to actually go out in the world and also do indoor works, whatever that she wants, and do not be stigmatized or not be actually enhanced by any of the social structure. And so that actually necessarily breaks their idea of social structure as well. So moving on, this actually has another unique selling point. What is that? That this actually works as the initial entrance, because it connects with the dominated women, the women that are already dominated, the women that are already in the working class. They are already in that patriarchal society. They need those roles be redefined. They cannot just go out and they cannot just think that they can be feminazis and they can stop mothering children. They can just go out in the world and get a job. They need to know what they're doing is important too. So if feminism preaches that household works is okay, they will actually understand what feminism wants to talk about. They will understand the harmful impacts of feminism, and that will work as the initial entrance of feminism to those working class people, to those specific demography. And we believe that is exactly how these redefined roles actually makes the more actually includes more women into this base of ring, and that is exactly how it is needed as well. So before moving on, I'd like to take this PY. Yes, from CG. Any
Think
PY
about
CG?
from OG.
Okay, yeah, go
OG.
on.
Think about a working mother. When you are glorifying motherhood as empowering and contributing, you are actually pressurizing her to balance her career and her home. When a father is never burdened with that, how that falls under your feminist idea?
See, that is exactly what we're trying to say. Feminism does not say that you have to mother a child. Feminism says that if you want to mother a child, that is absolutely okay, and that is glorifying as well. But if you want to pursue your career, that is also empowering, and you can pursue your career as well. That is the message of feminism in the overall ground. And also, they talked about the social stigmatizing, that you can go to BATB with wearing a hijab, but it will be a harmful impact on the working class people. We cannot buy by that idea because it is way far-fetched in its manner. And actually the people that are working in those working class are actually getting affected by those patriarchal society, and they actually need these redefined roles more, and they actually need to know that wearing a hijab is okay and not wearing a hijab is also okay. They need to know if they want to stay inside and do household work, that needs to be credited as well. So we believe that in our world we have effectively shown you how what is the role of redefined roles, but they haven't ever shows us any insights on if these redefined roles are not preaching into the society, what definition should those roles be considered, and if the what we should we be getting Nazis out, or should we actually be absolutely denying those roles as well. In all those it is actually doing more and more harm, but in our world it actually empowers women more, and that is how we uphold the objective of this debate, and that is how we actually take this debate by margin. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for your speech. Inviting the member of government to begin the lower house debate. Here.
Hello. Am I audible?
Audible.
Starting in 3, 2, 1. So the upper house today talks about the principles of feminism, bringing them from the West, and trying to incorporate those particular principles in the. Understand, when we talk about feminism only about pro-choices, it's in the West you get this opportunity to preach this. In the West, where the woman's education is prioritized, woman's ability and opportunity to break the glass ceilings and go into the corporate worlds are actually weighed in and equal and on an equal footing with men. Only then the woman when comes up and talks about, guess what, I might not go to the corporate world even after I've done my even after done my MBS and whatnot, rather would stay home. It's fine. But when you talk about those particular things in the East, where there's already a structural problem within the society where women are not allowed to go out for education, women are not allowed to go out and statement and whatever, you're just giving them you're just giving this society an avenue to suppress this woman even more. What do we mean by that? Understand, whenever you talk about this housewife, this makeup, even though you're talking about these things being taken up out of actual choices, but there are certain historical stances that needs to be taken care of as well. Because of whenever you talk about the title of being housewife, there's certain uh, job repertoire that they have to do. They're supposed to be the ones who's going to stay, take care of children, take care of the household chores, and just they're not supposed to be the ones that voicing out demands and whatnot. Because whenever you talk about the housewives in general, in an Eastern context, in the context of South Asia, their ability to voice out their opinions in a family table is very much limited. Because understand, when you're just promoting very titles as feminist ideals, you're not empowering them. You're just saying that it is okay of whatever is being done to the housewives under the status quo. And as a result of which, we don't believe that you're empowering women. Really, you're just making things worse for them. Why do we believe that? So because understand, now when we talk about that being housewife is absolutely fine. Obviously a father in a village will not likely to send their girls to educational institutions, because they can always say, guess what, you don't have to get those education because it's not necessary. Being a housewife is absolutely fine. The society is now accepting who you are, and as a result of it, no necessity to actually flourish yourself. As a result of which, whenever they had the opportunity to
POI.
empower later, sir, whenever they had the opportunity to empower themselves, they were not given this opportunity. Furthermore, when we talk about the South Asia in particular, we believe that feminist movement is still on the rise. It still has not got to a particular shape, or where we can just copycat everything that the Western world already just throws at us. Because understand that whenever we talk about this empowering housewives and empowering women wearing makeup, what we believe that is this particular community, even though are empowered, their audience will less likely to hear them out. Because whenever we talk about feminism, when we talk about pro choices, the idea of being a housewife does not pop up up into people's head. Rather, the idea that go out, have my education, go have adventures, see the world around, do jobs and whatnot. As a result of which, even if they are empowered, they will not be able to get their they will not be able to get their messages across. Rather, they will just act as a hindrance, as a deterrent mechanism for the people who are actually trying to empower them in politically, economically, and socially. Because for them right now, they will just be told that guess what, you just want to go out for jobs and whatnot, but there are other people who just wants to stay home and just wants to stay home and have a life that is have a life that has less hassles in it. So the result, as a result of which, we will always be undermining the very essence of the feminism, which has certainly started in the Southeast Asia or in the Eastern context. As a result of which, we believe at this very particular point in time, it is absolutely not justified for the justified for these particular roles to be imparted. Before I move on, POI of opening opposition.
Yes, sir. Would you rather have the mother of a conservative Muslim family to impose hijab on her daughter as a sign of empowerment or as a sign of the oppression her father imposed upon? Thank you.
So, so the idea here is, whenever a mother is actually forcing her child to wear those hijab, so there are two things that might come out of it. It's because of the social construct that she is a part of that tells them that that a woman should be wearing hijab, or it's because that they think that it is absolutely fine, she is practicing her religion. So first of all, even if we do think that the society it's a societal construct, we believe that we believe that it is we believe that it is problematic. The moment you just talk about that, yes, you're just practicing your own religion, you're just practicing your own religion. We believe that it just starts with a hijab at the age of 5, but then it also trickles down to the fact that your ability to go to education institutions will be carved down on the very essence that guess what, you started to follow a particular religious aspect, and as a result of which, we believe that you should not be going to this particular education institution. You should not be able to have this particular rights in place. As a result of which, in a society which is already conservative to begin with, which already just wants particular which wants a few hints here, a few hints and here and there to take it on the feminist movement. We believe you're just arming them furthermore to provide furthermore to just to furthermore to create hindrance for the woman to flourish themselves. And as a result of which, summing up in our today's debates, we believe that these titles, in themselves have particular shackles within them, and we're just empowering this, we're just shackling this moment furthermore. Even if even if these things are actually promoted, we believe if it's not a problem in the West, but in the Eastern context, in the Southeast Asia, where the feminism is just starting to rise, we're just starting to believe that women should be educated, women should be given this economic independence, just giving this power to this particular minority will just make things even worse. That is why we're ready to bite the bullet and say that guess what, even if this minority does feel left out for some time, they will have the opportunity, they will have the opportunity in the future, and as a result, the whole woman in the subcontinent can be better. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech, inviting member of opposition.
Hey, am I audible?
Very much so.
Okay. Starting in three, two, one. Let's frame opening government out of the debate. Understand the comfort and tell you that these feminine traits are used as societal battering rams to like batter women and to like suppress them and prevent them from, let's say, moving up the social political ladder. And they also come forward and tell you that things like, makeup are fundamentally capitalist and working women will be oppressed and there will be severe amounts of suppression and backlash. Well, we ask them to wake up because you already live in this world and understand that there is literally nothing that they're doing to solve the prevalent problem in society. There's literally nothing in their case to suggest that this suppression and backlash will somehow go away. Because understand that regardless of whether the feminist movement actively empowers these feminine traits, understand that there will still be misogynists in society who will continue to hate on women, who will continue to suppress them, and who will continue to delegate lesser tasks to them and think of them as inferior. Hence we think that the existence of such narratives and ideas are not mutually exclusive, but rather the side of the house that shows you how these narratives go away and how perception towards women change as a whole should win this debate. But a very interesting idea that I want to tell you is that the choice in itself is a social construct. Understand, we reject that idea. Understand that we agree that patriarchy made these feminine roles and personalities bad, but they weren't directly involved in the origin of these roles and traits. That is to say that the origin of, let's say, women being mothers has much to do with the things that they were suited to do throughout history to begin with. That is the point I will tell you. But the perception towards these feminine traits are something which have been changed and corrupted through patriarchy, but the feminine traits themselves are something that has not been assigned by patriarchy towards this woman to begin with. Hence we tell you that the roles inherently aren't the problem, but the perception of those roles are. We seek to improve this perception. Now, understand that closing government council and tell you that feminist traits are somehow not given preference in society. Understand that that is the point in time where women themselves are told that there is literally only one way for you to be a proper working woman. There's literally one way for you to cultivate an identity of woman, and that is through, let's say, moving up the corporate ladder, getting education, and moving out of the four corners of our home. We believe it is fundamentally wrong because firstly, this forces the woman to conform to the already toxic and competitive nature that exists in society within these traits, the ideas of toxic masculinity, the ideas of competitive pressure. But secondly, and more importantly, we think that it introduces the idea that there is literally only one way where you can be identified as a woman, and it is fundamentally problematic for the feminist movement as a whole, because the feminist movement is pro-choice and extremely inclusive to women through all walks of life, and this is something which we are very proud to fight for. But lastly, they come forward and tell you that under their world, women will be able to move move past the borders of their house and go and get education and whatnot. But understand that under their world, the women who are severely structurally disenfranchised, who are literally forced, or the only way that they can have a living is through live is by being a housewife. The women under their world live in this precarious condition, all the while feeling bad about their ideas, all the while feeling bad about their roles, because they're repeatedly told that being a housewife is bad. At least under our world, these women feel good about being a housewife because we actively empower these roles and traits and personalities. So that's a unique benefit that we introduce in our world. Moving on to my extension, I have three of them. Understand with I have three of them. My first extension is how it results in a better evaluation of the goals of the feminist movement as a whole, how the feminist movement is more impactful and more inclusive, and how there is a proper valuation of feminine traits and why it's important to begin with. Firstly, we think that these feminine roles and behaviors are empowering in and of itself. This is because there are literally many women who identify themselves with this feminist trait. As a result, we think that these sorts of feminist traits to these women are fundamentally unique to them and something which they absolutely have to hold on to, because it is fundamentally unique to their identity as a woman. Things like being empathic, things like being compassionate, things like being compassionate. These are the sorts of things which many women in many walks of life identify themselves with, and this is something which is fundamentally eroded under their world, because these women are thrust into the competitive pressure and thrust into toxic masculinity and repeatedly told to let go of their compassion and to be ruthless and to cultivate a ruthless attitude in order to succeed in life to begin with. But secondly, we think that these women should be allowed to do whatever they want to do, uh, and not be told to go into competitive pressure, because we think that the feminist movement as a whole has an active incentive to ensure that the choice that every single woman make is informed, and the choice that every single woman make is something that they're happy with. That is the point I will tell you where the feminist movement redefine roles and behaviors, and that is the point I will tell you where there's better informed choices between women, because now women actually think that these feminist traits are something worth holding on to. Opening opposition council talks about how sacrifices should be recognized. We think that we like to extend by saying that it's not only sacrifices that should be extended, but also feminine traits in itself, because feminine traits as a whole, feminine traits as a whole should be celebrated, because these are the things which make women happy. These are the things which give women freedom to express themselves in any way they want. But thirdly, and most importantly, we think that shift in public opinion happens. Traditional roles are celebrated. As a result, women feel good about themselves. As a result, we put more value into these feminine traits and into these feminine roles, something which doesn't exist in a status quo to begin with. Now, moving on to my second argument, understand that women in developing countries are extremely structurally disenfranchised. That is the point I will tell you, where it's extremely unlikely for them to get into a good education and to get into a good position in the corporate world. There's a point I will tell you, but even if they don't want to be confined to the four corners of the home, they're still forced to be confined in the four corners of our home. When the feminist movement actively tells you that you have to go into the corporate world in order to be included in the feminist movement, that is the point I will tell you where intersectional feminism exists, and it is fundamentally problematic because these women in developing countries do not feel that they belong in this feminist movement, and as a result, the impact that this feminist movement have to this move to these women who are the most vulnerable in society is significantly reduced, and as a result we think that feminism is not inclusive, but rather feminism is much more elitist under their world because they only apply to women who live in first world countries. But lastly, understand that under our world there is a valuation of this because we actively tell people that yes, being a mother is good, that yes, being a mother and having feminine traits is something which is perfectly fine. As a result, the women themselves feel good about having these traits, and they're more likely to fight against societal pressure and the pressures of patriarchy to begin with. But
Realize
even so, we think, but even besides that, we think that the greater information and awareness that exists will also cause the patriarchy to decrease as a whole. As a result, we think that we improve the perception of these roles, and thus we're very proud to.
Thank you for your speech inviting government to give.
Let me have a couple of minutes, please. Three, two, one, start. First of all, I would like to engage the very interesting idea that the member of opposition brings, that in the West, women are feeling that they have to go outside and work, that they cannot stay. Something like, if you could mute yourself. Anyway. And they think that this is an elitist movement here because it tells the non-working women that move. We disagree with this. What I'm coming to is that there are women who are living in the West and feel because of living home the way they would like to. But the thing is, the benefits done to these women is far, far lesser than the harms that are being done to the overall female population. As feminists, to look out for each other, we're supposed to set examples of empowerment for each other, which does not happen if they're being forced, if they're giving into societal pressure, and they're not setting a good example for other women, they are not reaching other women, they are not in a position of power to women as well. A woman who's a housewife cannot educate other girls. A woman who's a housewife cannot change policies for the betterment of the female population. A woman who is a housewife does not have sort of financial autonomy, and we think these things are ethic. And the member of opposition also comes and says that is misogynistic and will continue to torment women. We can take back the narrative and we make them value feminist, telling by glorifying makeup and glorifying being a stay-at-home mom. We think that the problem here is you're actually reinforcing stereotypes. You're telling people that no matter how qualified she is, she will always be choosing her home over her work. That is a stereotype that already exists in the society. Many people get jobs because of they're severely underpaid, they're severely underevaluated, and make no mistake, more women in the world are housewives than there are working women in the world, and these working women are struggling every day for a job, and they cannot get that job, especially in third world countries, if some stereotypes are being reinforced day by day. And also fundamentally disagree with the idea that if we encourage women to go outside and work, we will be under traditionally feminine traits like compassion and nurture, etc. These traits will be eroded and put males will be put to be ruthless. The thing is, there are many jobs in the world that do not require women to behave that way, that do not require women to be ruthless. Also, we should promote compassion and nurture and a caring nature for everybody in the world, not just women. Women alone should not have the burden of being nice to everybody or like raising their kids. That when we do that, we're deifying the common women, and we're putting an putting an unfair sort of pressure on them, and again restricting them as per our wishes. Also, uh, uh, in the Eastern context, there is no the feminist movement will be doing anything good for the common woman by glorifying these things, because the common women need a good example. The common women need a system that allows them to go out, because they're already unemployed, they're already in a financially disadvantageous or socially disadvantageous position. So we believe that the better way would be to encourage everybody reach their full potential to work. Also, moving on to the government side, the government side has come up and said that the moving on to the opening opposition. Well, opening opposition comes up and says that these women, when we respect the women's choice to like stay home, we're empowering them, we're recognizing them, we're respecting them. But the thing is, these women do not have any actual power in the society. Then what exactly are you giving them respect for? Their sacrifices, but you are binding them to their sacrifices. Which brings me to my previous point, which Safran also said, that we're expecting too much from these women. We're expecting unfair things from these women, and we're always forcing them to put others above them, others above their career ambitions, or others above the fact that they should have money on their hands and they should be able to like pay for things that they want. Moreover, they have the opening opposition has also said that the objective of the debate is to empower women all over the world. We believe that it only happens when we do not glorify unemployment. Unemployment is a social problem that needs to be rooted out. Absolutely. For this, we can glorify unemployed women and uh, pretend that unemployment is the problem for men, right? We're not going to glorify men who sit at home and raise kids. We're going to say, come on, man, why are you not working? Then why does it have to be different for women? And what we're also doing is that we're making them subconsciously okay with the fact that they do not get enough opportunities at education and work from the society, which is a problem. These women need to recognize that the society is not giving them enough opportunities, that the society is not giving them enough respect, and they have to go out there and get some real financial power, some sort of legitimate power that allows them to change policies and change their lives and other people's lives as well. As for the which is why we think that our world is better than both the worlds that closing opposition and opening opposition has talked about. As for the opening government comes up and only talks about how the females will be setting bad examples for the other women. They do not go into the harms that comes upon the overall female. Also, as for makeup, we would like to say that the makeup industry is something that completely feeds on the insecurities of common women, and they're making an industry out of it. These people do not care about your empowerment. What these people care about is that whether they can make money from your sorrow. They're trying, even when it comes to the idea of using the opening government, and also when we would like to say that we show you where the larger population will, which is why we think that we win over all of the very proposed. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. And the final speaker of the House.
Hello.
Hello.
5 seconds.
That's too much.
Acha, acha.
I've got four. I'm kidding.
Starting in
Hello.
yeah, in three, two, one. First, let's break down OG's case in. First, let's break down OG's case. What did OG told us how how females should be defined as men. The masculine traits, they should change, they should have that independence, and they should go and become and climb up the ladder and become CEO. They should in conclusion, they should opt for a change. Understand the world about social understand what they told about social stereotypes. These female that they are housewives are pushed by society. We don't I don't understand how this be the have to become the CEO isn't also pushed upon them, because understand that they have to become a CEO, or they have to opt for a change being pushed upon them. Scenario, they don't have a clear picture, they don't have their own choice that matters. But when understand that just because this society which
Your
they're
voice.
told that they have to be, they have become that being a housewife is something important, and they might cater to that. Understand that they told is just because of their unique traits or unique qualities which they showed, that they unique qualities, these unique qualities make them female. And one of the men like get those masculine traits, they have to become aggressive, they have to go up that ladder and become the CEO to get the equal amount of respect. We understand that being a woman in itself and getting those feminine trait in itself is empowering, and in itself is glorifying to that female, and it defines that female as a female. And when this female in itself perceive to this, and when they are not forced to opt for a change, we believe that they will better have a better say, better say in their life. Understand that forcing them to change their characteristic or feature isn't the solution for them to get that equal amount of justice. It's the undermining characteristic that they have to opt for a change to get that equal amount of respect is problematic, because it is problematic because they are in the first place females, and they have those unique characteristic in them in itself, which makes them important, which makes them glorified. I'll be taking the POI later. So we guess that we broke down OG's case and we stand above them. Understand that what CG came up with. CG talked about how women sitting idle in their house doesn't contribute, or doesn't tell those women to get out of those four barriers walls, and get out of those barriers and get out of those barriers and come to the working life. Understand that I don't think so it's really important to get out of those four lands, because understand why. Because understand one thing: the notion that females have to get out of their houses, they have to become CEO, or they have to become a working woman, a businesswoman, came from the came uh, from a came from the barrier, or came from those men in itself, that they have to become like us to get the equal amount of justice, equal amount of respect. But understand that it's not the case, because these female because in the point in time when they become like men, or when they get those masculine traits, get those masculine traits, they become like men. They become like men, but not men. This means that this is further, it means that men will further dominate themselves, because they are not like them, but they are trying to be like them, which means that men in itself will be empowered through this notion. It means that female will not have their independent features. Female in itself will not have that independent characteristic in itself. We believe that this independent characteristic, which should be empowered and should be glorified, for this woman, for this woman to for this feminist movement to go ahead itself. Because understand that this feminist movement is about equality, and it's about justice, and getting the equal amount of respect for this woman. And this only when females get that extra. Females celebrate their unique qualities. Females hold on to their unique qualities, and they perceive that they are women, and that makes them special. Not that they have to be like men to be special. Understand that what extension do we give, which makes us stand above OO. Understand that we told you that the OO's notion only caters about first world countries, but we also cater about third world countries, where being a housewife uh, uh, being a housewife is the only livelihood only living they get. Also, we tell you that shift in public opinion which means that now females aren't forced to become like men. They will be told that you are a woman, you have your characteristic, and that makes you special, and that gives you the bargaining chip for that respect. Meaning that now men will not see these characteristics as housewife as a low key. They will see this feature as wife, as an as a businesswoman, or a businesswoman, or proud to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. Thank you for a good debate. Wait for about 5 minutes, I guess.